Good morning, good morning. Good morning to you. Hope everyone's having a great day. I think we're good to go. We're good to go. Amazing. With any luck, we're currently live on all channels. Let's press start on Instagram. We'll be good to go. We are now live. I think we're doing it. We're officially doing it. I think we have us live on all the channels. And I think I have access to all the chats. Woo, that's exciting. It's very exciting to me. It's been a long time coming. We finally figured it out. Give me just 1 second to try to close out some stuff that I don't need. All right, good. Hello from Dubai. Hello, hello. It's a long way away from America. I've never been to Dubai or anywhere in that area. I hope to go one day. Actually, I went to Turkey one time. I think that's kind of near. I don't really know. Dumb Americans were not taught geography well. Speaking of being well, is James well yet? No. He's sick. But he'll be A-okay. So we got a question yesterday. Like I said, I have a very sophisticated system for keeping track of my questions. We have a bunch of sticky notes with suggestions. It's a bad question, and I'm going to explain why. How would I build a bankroll if I only had $50? Okay? How would you build a bankroll with only $50? Well, first question's first. How much time do you have? Right? It's a very, very important consideration. Because imagine you have infinite time, like let's say, maybe not infinite, but a lot. Like say you're an 18-year-old kid with nothing going on at all. Like say you were bad at school or something and you don't have a degree and you're not going to go to college, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you know, poker's probably a good thing for you to do, at least to consider. And that is a thing you can do. You can take it really slow. That's kind of what I did. I mean, I was going to college, but at the same time, I wasn't enjoying it. And poker was good back then. So I put $50 online. I always kept 100. Well, I started with 100 bets at Limit Hold'em, which is too small of a bankroll. I was willing to reload a time or two if I lost. So I started with $50, and I played Limit Hold'em. I played a lot of Limit Hold'em. I say a lot. Whenever I was young, I couldn't really play a ton because I was going to college and I had a full-time job, so I could only play like 6 hours a day. So I played about 6 hours a day, every day, and I grinded it up. I took my time. I went I eventually made it to 30-60 limit within about 6 months. Just playing a lot. Playing with a nice edge, and just doing that over and over again. That's the easiest way to build a bankroll. Put your money on the internet. You'd only need $50 or so. $50 is not a lot of money. Everyone, or almost everyone, can get a hold of $50. What was my job? I was fueling airplanes at the airport and doing customer service in general. So if someone needed me to carry their luggage, I would carry their luggage. Or if they needed to be driven around town, I would drive them around town. Do I suggest online poker? Yes, because it has almost no expenses attached to it. Going to play live poker, you have to have a car, or at least you have to be willing to travel, right? Unless it's right next to your house. So that takes time. You just lose a lot of time, you lose a lot of resources when you go to play live poker. And if you only have $50 to your name, you have no resources. It's very important to not just say, how do I build a bankroll from $50? The better question is, do you have a lot of time? If you don't have a lot of time, and you have no money, you're not going to do very well, right? Do you have a lot of expenses? Do you actually need to make money from your poker? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you don't need to be playing poker. Because poker is not going to return you significant money for a very long time. When I first started playing, I was making 10 cents an hour, right? But I didn't care. I had lots of time. I was a young person. So that's what I would do. Find a game you have an edge in. What game would I start with today? I would probably start with 50 cent sit and goes. That seems like a good way to get a lot of experience playing tournaments. And no Limit Hold'em. I would not start playing Limit Hold'em like I did a long time ago, because Limit Hold'em is a now essentially defunct game. Back in the day, Limit Hold'em was the main game. It's very important to change with the times. If you don't change with the times, you're going to get passed by. It's very, very important. Some people just get passed by and they don't even realize it. Alternatively, you could start playing cash games if you want to be a cash game grinder. I think that's also perfectly fine. And the problem with small stakes cash game, though, is the rake is often quite high. D. Nelson says, what's tough for you is you use your poker profits to pay for your expenses. Yeah, don't do that. That's not how you grow a bankroll. Remember, the question was, how do I build a bankroll from nothing? The question was not, how do I pay my bills from poker? The way to pay your bills from poker, by the way, is let's say you have $3,000 a month in expenses. You figure out a way to win about $6,000 a month. If you're not winning $6,000 a month, get a job. I hate to be blunt about it, but if you're not making enough money to sustain your bankroll and grow your bankroll and put some money away for when things inevitably go poorly, like if your car breaks or you get sick, you're not doing it right. Poker may not be the thing you need to be doing with your time. If you view poker as a way to make side income and you are not already comfortable enough in your financial situation, you should probably be spending your time learning a different skill that will definitely be around long term, that will also be very consistent, like a job. Jobs pay you every week or month or whatever. And that's very, very beneficial for you because you have money coming in on a regular basis. If you have bills, that's money going out. Therefore, you need money coming in. Poker does not provide consistent money coming in. A lot of people don't get this. They think, oh, I'm going to make the same amount every month. Or if I make $20 an hour, I'm going to make $20 an hour if I play 40 hours in a month. But that is not true. You're going to have downswings. You're going to have upswings. And if you get hit by 3 or 4 months of downswings in a row, well, now we're just broke, right? Uncle Eddie again. Uncle Eddie, you must have nothing to do at 9 a.m. Okay, so that's how you build a bankroll from $50. You already have some money. The next question was, how do you build it from nothing? Legitimately no money. You start with $0. That's a tougher one. The answer to that is get a job. It's not hard to figure out a way to get a hold of $50. Go cut someone's grass, right? You cut someone's grass, they pay you 10 or 15 bucks, right? We're almost already there. We're almost to $50. The right way, I do not suggest you start playing free rolls. That is a huge waste of your time because the equity in any free roll is going to be something like 1 cent or 2 cents or 5 cents, right? So you're going to play 5 hours to win 5 cents. You would be so much better off just doing work for someone. A lot of people hate the idea of doing work, but you got to understand, poker is actually a hell of a lot of work. Most people don't think it is. It's a lot of mental work. It's not physical work, it's mental work. But it is a lot of work, and you don't want to be doing hard work for 5 cents an hour. Now, I understand whenever you first start, you're going to love poker. You're going to think, oh my God, all I want to do is play poker. And, you'd be willing to pay to do it. Well, you don't have any money because we have no money. Don't forget that, so you can't pay to do it. But you should spend 2 hours cutting someone's grass, do a very good job. Hey, maybe even do it once a week or once every, maybe find 3 people to cut their grass, right? Now you're making $50 a week. Your bankroll will grow quickly if you just get $50 added to it each week. Again, though, if you have expenses and you have a life and you have a job, that means you have no time or little time. And if you have no money, which was the question, you don't need to be getting into poker. It really is as simple as that. You need to go get a job to pay for your expenses to support yourself. Poker is a pretty good hobby. It's not such a good career for the vast majority of people because most people have been raised to think that they are going to get consistent feedback. Meaning, you go to your job, you work for a week, they give you some money. Whenever you go to play poker, you might go there for a week and they take away your money despite the fact that you're playing great. Or the alternative, you could go to play poker, win, although you played poorly, and then think that you're great. You're going to find that if everyone in these chats is honest with themselves, everyone here, I would guess something like 80% of you ran hot. You were lucky the first few times you played poker. Most people who go to play any new game and just get crushed typically don't like it unless they already have experience getting crushed. I played chess as a kid and Magic the Gathering as a kid, and I got crushed at both of those when I started. And I was already used to getting crushed. So when I got crushed at poker for the first few months that I played, it wasn't such a big deal because crushed was like losing $3, right? You lose $3, it's not the end of the world. And I understood this. $3 to me, when I had $50 or $100 to my name, was not such a big deal. We're already practicing good bankroll management. We don't even know it. But anyway, almost everyone when they first start, they got lucky. And that makes them think they are supposed to run that well indefinitely. They don't even think it's subconscious. You don't think, yeah, I got lucky the first 3 times, so I'm going to be lucky forever. but maybe you hit your 4 out of your 5 first flush draws, and you think you're supposed to be hitting these flush draws. Next thing you know, you're just playing poorly, and that's not so good. You feel that your books are still valid in a day and age past books. If you think we are in a day and age past books, you are sorely mistaken. If you study essentially all good CEOs, they read a ton. And also, my books are, they were not designed to exploit exactly what was happening in a particular time. They were instead made to teach you how to play fundamentally sound poker. So no, they have not been passed by. What do I do if we're starting with $5,000? I would tell you to play small. So essentially, I kind of have a different approach whenever you already have some money. Because $5,000 is a good amount, right? That's plenty bankroll for 25 cent, 50 cent online, where you can easily make $2 or $3 or $10 an hour. So you need to make sure you protect this bankroll, assuming $5,000 is significant money, and $5,000 I think is significant money for most people. And what I would do is I would tell you to play small stakes online. This is almost always going to be the answer to almost everyone. Play small stakes online because there you're going to play against good people who are also trying to win. And if you can beat the other good people who are also trying to win, then you will have no problem beating even 1-2 live or 2-5 live with a high rake. You'll be fine. But if you cannot beat small stakes online, you're probably not going to be a winning player, especially if you try to actually progress to 2-5 or 5-10 or 10-20 or play $500 tournaments. You're going to be in a really, really tough spot. So playing small online gets you a lot of experience cheaply. So if you play online and you lose $300 or even $1,000 playing 25 cent, 50 cent, it's 20 buy-ins. Maybe you start to think, maybe I don't want to be playing poker because I can't even beat small stakes online. And it's probably true. Is rake beatable at 1-3? Depends on what the rake is. Obviously, if the rake is $100 a hand, no. If it's $4 a hand, probably. Always ask good questions. A lot of people ask very generic questions, like how do you build a bankroll for nothing? Well, do you have time? Do you have expenses? Do you have things going on in your life? Did the people support you who are around you? There are a lot of considerations, not just, I have $50, how do I become a professional poker player? It doesn't work like that. So, someone also asked, how much should you leave the table with when you're up? Listen, I have a bankroll Bible coming out on Monday. You'll find it at jonathanlittlepoker.com. It's about 15 pages long. It's not really a Bible. I suppose a Bible would be 1,000 pages long. But it'll be coming out soon. And I discuss, whenever you have an edge, you don't want to quit. D. Nelson says, you can't beat the game without a HUD. Well, learn to pay better attention and learn what to focus on. Daniel on YouTube says, discrediting books is an excuse for not studying. Even if you do use solvers and equity software, and I would even say watching other good people play. I watch a ton of training videos. Yeah, it's an excuse. A lot of people, well, to be fair, it's not necessarily an excuse. A lot of people learn in specific ways. Some people learn from doing my quizzes at pokercoaching.com, right? I've learned that most people really like to interact. They need to be engaged. If they just open up a beer and watch a training video, they're not going to absorb it. It's just not going to happen. And that's not good, right? So you want people to be engaged. When you're actually doing things, you learn way faster than when you're just passively observing. That said, some people don't have time to read books. They don't want to sit down and read a book. Instead, they listen to audiobooks when they're at the gym. They're not going to absorb it as well as if they were actually reading it or if they were playing or playing the quizzes, going through quizzes or talking to a coach, but they're going to learn some. This is why I try to have material in all formats. We have podcasts, we have videos, we have photos, we have quizzes, we have homework, right? We have all sorts of stuff available for you. Am I drinking coffee? No. Today we have pu'er tea. It's a dark tea. Can you see this? Maybe you can see this. It kind of looks like coffee. So maybe you shouldn't be opening up beers and watching training videos. You have to understand, most people think they are studying poker when they get home from work and they turn on someone streaming. Now, streaming is good, but I think streaming is mostly entertainment. Sure, you can pick up some things if you're actively paying attention. How many of you are, when you're watching streaming, are writing diligent notes about the plays that the players are making? I would say almost no one. It has to be like less than 0.5%. And that's you not using your time well. You need to make sure you are picking up things from these players. So anyway, I think that is probably fishy. What's the best way to study? Sign up to pokercoaching.com and do all the homework. Homework will make you good. If you do good homework and learn how to think about ranges, then you're going to be fine. Your shirt makes you want to go on a vacation. I like this shirt. It's a solid shirt. It feels nice. My wife's mother, Orit, she dresses me. She buys all my clothes. Thank you, Orit. I would be much worse clothed without you. She can't help me with my English. That's not fixable. How do you think I would do now if I tried to play on a free online game against noobs? Oh, I've crushed those games. I've done it a few times, actually. I was in the talks with a few free apps in the past, and I ran up whatever they gave me to tons because people were so bad, right? Someone keeps messaging me on Twitter, and they essentially say that I can't beat poker because everyone plays so poorly. But you have to understand, you make money when your opponents make mistakes. Paul says pokercoaching.com, not poker study, pokercoaching.com. So, if your opponents are not making mistakes, you're not making money. And you say, well, they outdraw me every time. Let's imagine you get a good hand, top 10% hand, and you get it all in, every hand against 9 other people. Okay? To break even, you need to win 1 in 10 times, right? Because you're putting in 1/10 of the money, and you are going to get out. Well, you're putting in 1/10 of the money, so you need to get 1/10 out to break even. If you just run your equity of the top 10% of hands against your opponents, I don't know what it is, but it's probably something like 15 or 14%, if I had to guess. Someone run it for me on Equilibe right now. Actually, I don't even know if I can do 10 people. Anyway, you're going to put in 1/10 of the money, and you're going to get out 1/15 of the money. Which means every time you get it all in, you're winning half of a starting stack. You're demolishing them. Yeah, there's going to be variance, but variance is part of the game. People think that what happens on an individual session or what happens over 10,000 hands matter, and it does not. You must understand variance. No one gets it, though. They always want to think, what happened to me today? It's really what happened to me over the last 100,000 hands, or 1 million hands, right? Good online players play over 1 million hands a year, and some of them, if they're playing in tough games, still have roughly break-even years. Because that's how it goes. You say you were watching Stones last night, trying to take notes, etc. Oh, Hooded, you're right. You don't get back 1/15. You get back 15%. Good catch. You get back 15% of the money. You put in 10%, but you get back 15% of the money. Good job. Make sure you catch me whenever I say something wrong. Your opponents are going to get back 1/15 of the money. But anyway, yeah, so that's correct. Is there ever time to show your cards instead of mucking? I essentially never show my cards. I don't know what I'm inducing. I think that there certainly is merit in showing your cards to people who are going to go on tilt if you show them that you bluff them. I essentially never show someone they made a good fold because that you don't want to reinforce. You don't want to let them know that they were playing well. That gives people confidence, and you don't want to give people confidence. Yeah, confidence. All right, so we have a different question about growing a bankroll. What if instead you're an adult, you have a job, you have a family, you have no time. This person says they live in North Carolina, so no online poker. That's not true. You can play online poker. You just have to be really smart about it and understand they're going to steal your last deposit. So don't keep much money in the online sites except Americans. That is a bad idea. Why is it hard to be successful for low-stakes players with the rake? Well, the rake is very relevant. That's why it is hard. Rake is big. You can't beat a big rake. All right. So no online or no casinos. This person thinks there's no online, but they're not being honest with themselves. Like I said, start with $50. Take it slow. Can you expect to get much better if you only can play 1 time per week? Woo, that's a tough one. If you do not already have a lot of experience and are not already pretty competent, you're probably going to have a pretty tough time getting good. You can theoretically know a lot of things, but you're going to have a really difficult time applying it. Some people think that if you know something, you'll just do it every time. Like, say I know I'm supposed to 3-bet 9-7 suited from the small blind. I know it. But in game, sometimes you're just not going to do it. And if you don't practice and get experience, a lot of things you're going to have a difficult time applying, especially things that don't come up very often. So, can you actually get to a proficient level to where you are winning a significant amount of money that's worth time leaving your job and your family? Probably not. How do you upgrade to Inner Circle? Send us an email at support@pokercoaching.com. How do you beat a table full of rags? Well, tight rags are bad players. If they're playing too tightly, you just raise minimum a lot and then continuation bet a lot. That used to be the Bellagio 10-20 game, which I used to crush. I would never play a big pot. If they wanted to put their stacks in, you better have the nuts. Or you better have the nuts, and I never had the nuts. So what I did was I would raise like 3 or 4 times per orbit, pick up the blinds half of the time, most of the time raise, make a continuation bet, pick up those pots, and you win 3 or 4 blinds every orbit. You're printing money. Reboot says you turned $1.90 into $82 with poker and roulette last night. It's really easy to do it with roulette. All you have to do is just be super lucky. Nothing wrong with being super lucky. Just realize you're gambling your little rump off. How do I not scroll up on this chat? Oh, don't tell me I can't scroll up on the chat. That's no fun. How long should a daily study session be? Probably not too long. Probably as long as you can focus, actually. So I've started making my content shorter for the not so advanced topics because a lot of people can't focus or don't want to focus that long. For the advanced stuff, I still do 4-hour webinars. But if you look at the quizzes at Poker Coaching, right? Sometimes they're not so advanced and they take 10 minutes. So you want to make sure that your thought process is still... You want to make sure you're paying attention is what it amounts to. So anyway, if you can only play 1 time a week, you have a family, I would ask, why do you even want to do this? Find something different. But if you really do want to play poker, and you can spend, 45 minutes a day studying something, and you don't mind doing it, you don't really mind understanding there's going to be an infinite variance on a time frame, because, if you only play once a week, you're playing 52 sessions a year. It's like a month and a half. I mean, you can easily go on a month and a half downswing, so you're going to be going on big downswings. Realize that you're kind of just gambling. Anytime you're playing over a short period of time, there is a lot of variance involved. And if you don't play very many sessions, you're just not going to get to the long run, right? If you don't get to the long run, then not a whole lot's going to happen. They ever play an underground cash games? I've played in a few. In New York City, they all rake a lot, so I don't play those. Also in New York City, they do this thing where you play on credit. No one has to bring cash to the game, which is smart. Kind of. The reason it's not so smart is because sometimes they get stiffed. The house gets stiffed by people. And what happens is, inevitably, they don't have all the money to pay out. They rake a lot. Also, by the way, they rake 5% uncapped or 10% uncapped. So if you're playing... They like playing PLO as well. PLO is a horrible game if the rake is high. Because, think about this, right? Edges run closer in PLO than they do in No Limit Hold'em. When you get it in, if you're a great player, you may win 55% of the time. And these players are blasting it pre-flop, by the way. It's not like get it all in on the river with the nuts. It's get it all in pre-flop a lot. And they like playing short stack too, like $2,000. So if you're playing short stack, $2,000, and you get it all in with 55% equity, that makes the pot $4,000. Okay? House is going to rake, let's say, $300. If you put in $4,000 and you own 55% of it, how much is that? That is it's $2,100, right? Is that right? I think it's $2,200. $2,200. Yeah, $2,200. Okay, fine, $2,200. But they rake $300 when you win. So when you get your $2,200, they take out $300 from it. So you get $4,900 back on average. Or so you get $1,900 back on average. So you lose money in those scenarios. So when you get it in with 55% equity in a game like that, you lose money. But that's what PLO is. PLO is getting it all in a lot with 55% equity. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. Hello from Australia. Welcome. Or hello to Australia. You feel like it's hard to make moves in PLO. I mean, you make different moves. There definitely is less stone bluffing, that's for sure. I mean, you bluff with blockers, right? Blockers are very relevant in PLO. So you say PLO is actually more boring than Hold'em. Depends on what excites you, right? If you like having agency, it's referred to as agency, the idea that your decisions matter, I think they're probably more meaningful decisions in No Limit Hold'em. Which is why there's a bigger skill edge in No Limit Hold'em than PLO a lot of the time, right? Your decisions matter more often. Hello from Bolivia. Everyone's here. Everyone's here having coffee with me. Good morning. What's a decent number of hands to play in order to get to the long run fast. I mean, you understand, the long run is this like hypothetical idea. You want to play as much as you realistically can. Over 100,000 hands, you're going to have a pretty good idea of whether or not you're a winning player. Over 1 million hands, you're likely going to know. If you're playing online, and let's say you're playing 4 tables with Zoom, which is probably what you need to do if you want to get good quickly, you will play, I don't know, 5,000 hands a day pretty easily. You probably think you get something like 800 hands an hour, so that's a full day. So 8 hours of play, you get 5,000 hands. That means you will get 100,000 hands in 20 days. 20 days online is all you need to have some idea. What's my advice for a long-time break-even player? Study. Figure out what you're doing wrong. Quite often, a lot of people just have 4 or 5 big leaks. And if they plug those 4 or 5 big leaks, they will go from being break-even, or even losing, to significantly better. Like, let's say, for example, you always check raise the flop with top pair. Big mistake. If you do anything almost every time, it's probably a big mistake. But let's say you do check raise top pair every single time, and then you bet the turn and you jam the river because you think it's the best hand. That's a big mistake. Let's say every time you get aces, kings, or queens, it goes raise, call, and you decide to go all in because you don't want to get outdrawn. It's a big mistake, right? If you're making these big mistakes on a regular basis, you are not going to win. So you need to figure out these leaks. An easy way to do that is to share your hand histories with with good players, people who are winning. Someone mentioned the inner circle earlier. We have my poker coaching inner circle. You can get it at pokercoaching.com/inner circle, where every 2 weeks we have a call-in session where you can call in and present me hands and any issues that you're having. Someone says the video just stopped. Did the video just stop? That'd be bad. But anyway, that's a way that you can send me hands. I will analyze them for you. You get about 15 minutes each. All the students get 15 minutes each or so. And you get private coaching for, whatever it is, $100 a month or less if you get a bigger membership. So that's very valuable. And I think that would be a very beneficial thing for you to do. So people are saying the video is still working. Good. You have a new pumpkin spice organic coffee from Thrive. I don't know what any of those words mean. I only drink black coffee. I only drink black tea. The only time, in my opinion, when you should put sugar or milk in tea or coffee is when it is very bad. That's my opinion. I think you should drink the coffee and the tea because you enjoy the coffee and the tea. Although I do understand some people enjoy sugar, and it is an okay delivery method for sugar, but I'm not drinking it to have sugar. So with PLO, you're saying make more moves with an ace as a bluff. No, I'm not saying any of this. Do not accept whatever I just said as definitive PLO advice. Every time you get the ace blocker, you should not be running a bluff. Every time you get a 2 straight blocker, say it's 8-7-5 and you have 2 6s, you should not necessarily be running a bluff. Are you a no dairy guy? No, I eat everything. I have no problem eating anything and everything. Do I still do the cold shower thing? Of course. Listen, I tend to not stop things unless I have a good reason to. And the idea of not getting sick and having a better metabolism just from taking a cold shower and being more alert and being more productive, all of these things are quite beneficial in my mind, and I'm not going to stop something like that's beneficial. Like green smoothies. I've been having a green smoothie every morning for breakfast for the last 8 or 10 years now. Which is, again, almost no sugar. We do have berries. It is spinach, romaine lettuce, sometimes kale. If you eat too much kale, though, it'll start tasting really, really bad because you get these toxins in your body, apparently. So if you eat too much kale, it's a problem. Too much spinach, too. We have to eat way more spinach. Okay, spinach, romaine lettuce, carrots, Italian parsley. I don't like curly parsley. Blueberries, like 8 or 10 blueberries, and then water. Oh, and chia seeds. That's what I eat and drink every morning. I give it to my baby. He loves it. I feel like ranges are useless in PLO. I completely disagree. All poker games are a range analysis exercise. That is what poker is. You hear cream is bad because it causes heart attacks. I mean, all sorts of things cause heart attacks, and probably fattening things are one of them. If you were to build your bankroll to 100K or win a tournament that gave you that much money, would you invest any of it or just keep strictly playing poker? You have to ask, how much money do you need to play poker? If you, let's say you were playing a $10 tournament online Sunday Storm or whatever they're called, and you crack it off for $100,000, do you think you should all of a sudden start playing $500 buy-in tournaments or $1,000 buy-in tournaments? The answer is obviously not. You're a $10 tournament player who got lucky. So maybe move to the 20s or the 30s and see how that goes. But definitely don't just think, okay, now I'm bankrolled for $1,000 tournaments. I'm going to start hopping in those tournaments. That would be a gigantic mistake. So if you only need, say, a $1,000 bankroll or a $2,000 bankroll or maybe even a $20,000 bankroll, take the rest and invest it. Question is, how aggressive should you be with your investments? Well, it depends on your goals and your age. Like if you really want to lock that money up because you think maybe I want to send my kid to college, or maybe you want to send yourself to college if things go poorly at poker, then that is something you should certainly do. And you don't want to put it in something that's very volatile. If you don't really care about the money, and you didn't have it to start with, you didn't need it, you weren't planning on it, and you don't need any money anytime soon, maybe you should invest in something a little bit more risky. But definitely diversify. A lot of people think they have these great ideas about one particular thing. Someone mentioned earlier, if you only have $5,000, put it into Bitcoin. Don't put all of your money in one basket. That is a huge mistake, no matter what the basket is. Even if things are, in your opinion, overpriced, understand that quite often your opinion as a $10 no-limit player who had no money a day ago is probably not accurate and irrelevant. Everyone has an opinion. And if you have no money and you have an opinion, your opinions are probably not that valid. There's a guy, Ray Dalio, who has a book called Principles. And I really love an idea of this thing they do. Essentially what they do is they have, every time you're giving a meeting, they give you feedback in real time about what you think, or what they think about your presentation. Also, they figure out your skill set, and they rate you. Like a baseball player, right? They say, Jonathan Little is really good at range analysis, let's just pretend. But he's really bad at playing against bad players. Okay? Let's just presume that's the case. Whenever someone presents me a question, they know to not trust my opinion when it comes to playing against bad players, because I don't exploit them. I'm just really good at range analysis. So if I'm really good at range analysis and I present my opinion, they will trust my opinion, almost like it's gospel. Of course, it can be challenged, but they understand that that is my strength, right? And, say I think I'm supposed to invest in Bitcoin. Let's say I'm thinking you're supposed to invest in Bitcoin, but I have no tech background. I have no investing experience. I don't know anything about coding. I just think, oh, it looks cheap right now because it was 20, now it's 5 or 6 or whatever it is. That's not a good opinion. Eddie says I belong on CNBC. Get me on there, Eddie. I know you know everyone. I'm happy to go on any show. What's James doing? James is having breakfast. James has breakfast at 9 a.m. I think they're washing up right now. Anyway, understand that what you think often doesn't matter, which is why you need to diversify. Because if you're in all sorts of industries, it doesn't really matter what you do. There's a book by... this is more of a concept. A lot of poker players who played sit and goes back when I did, they invested all their money in Vanguard funds. Very, very diversified. Essentially invested in every industry in the world. And a lot of them are filthy rich now because every year they made their 7%. They put all of their profits in there. They were kind of doing like me, where they needed a $20,000 bankroll, but they were winning $200,000 a year. So every year they put 180 into Vanguard, 180 into Vanguard, 180 into Vanguard, right? Now they all have infinite money. Because even after Black Friday, a lot of them just stopped playing. And now they're making 7% a year off their $1 million, and they get $70K for free. And it piles up. They just sit back and relax. And if the market goes down, it doesn't matter because other parts of the market go up. Typically when something goes down, something else goes up. And especially in relation to it. So understand that when you invest in one thing, like let's say I want to invest in a Bitcoin, or I want to invest in Coca-Cola stock, or whatever, realize that that is your opinion, and your opinion is almost certainly not as good as the professionals. Unless you're a professional. Maybe you are a professional. Maybe you already have $1 billion because you have just absolutely crushed it. And then, your opinion's probably actually very, very valid. But if you have no money, and it's going to sound bad, but money is sort of the way that people keep score of the value of their opinions when it comes to things relating to money. And investing is a thing relating to money, right? Of course, you could have all the money and be a horrible person and be bad at life, but that's not what we're talking about here. Whenever we're talking about things regarding money, if you have a lot, you're probably doing well. If you have none, you're probably not doing so well. Oh, James is crying. That's sad. He doesn't like it when you tell him no, and he started crying. Let's see. We have a few questions coming in. Compounding interest. Yes, compounding interest. Hello from Amsterdam. People from all over the world. Welcome, welcome. It's not coffee time there, but it is time for something. Do I think tournaments on Stars are getting softer or harder? Tournaments always, poker always, games always get harder as time progresses because people use technology to better their skills. Your tournaments has been good. Online from April, terrible. Oh, so live tournaments are good, online is terrible. What's the big difference between live and online? Online, people play way better. And maybe your skill sets are very geared towards live poker. Maybe you're really great at reading people, for example. I learned myself. What books would I recommend for no limit cash games tournaments or private coaching? Oh my god, it's a big question. I don't know. What do I have up here? I'm not going to go through all book recommendations. I think sites like Run It Once are great. I think that's a very good site. I'd say sites like Run It Once. Run It Once is a good site. Solid. I would tell you to probably sign up for a backing company if you want to. A backing company that gives you coaching, because often those are really, really good because they are incentivized to make you good because they get paid when you get good. So that's how I'd go about getting private coaching. Most people don't write good books. I don't know what to tell you. People like my books and they're bestsellers because they're good. Other people's books don't sell well, so they're not so good. Books sell well either because of marketing or because they're good. One of the two. I try to do marketing and I try to write good books, and that's why often they're very high on the poker list on Amazon. So funny you say Watchmen's a good read. Often a lot of these books back here are books I've not finished. My finished books go outside because I've done those already. I've read those already. Let's see. You have a tough time putting people on ranges at 1-2. They seem to show up with any 2 cards. How can you improve this? Realize their ranges are wide, and that's okay. What do you think of the new Magic the Gathering set? Until they fix the card frames, I'm not going to be buying any new Magic the Gathering cards. I think all the new sets have looked horrible. Some of the cards are good. I mean, I have no problem with the actual gameplay. I don't know. I like Vintage and Legacy, and Magic the Gathering today is more like Limited. I'm not a big fan of Limited. I mean, I'm okay with Limited. I'm okay with Cube, but I'm not so good with just sitting and playing a 3-3 and your opponent playing a 3-3 and you attack and you play a trick and they play a trick and we see who wins. I don't feel like there's actually a lot of decisions being made, but maybe there are. I mean, good players are still winning, so presumably there is skill involved. Also, I don't keep up with a lot of formats because I don't have a lot of time. I like keeping up with the slower moving formats like Vintage and Legacy because I don't have a lot of time. I'm playing to my strengths, right? I do very good on unseen information, which is often what you have in Vintage and Legacy because you have more cards in hand and you're playing on the stack more. And also, the formats don't change as often because 2 new cards each set don't change things. And I think that is why I do good at Vintage and Legacy when I play online. All right, if a player is 3-betting 16.5% and you have Ace Queen has 56% equity against that range, is it more profitable to 4-bet or flat? Probably it depends. Probably just flat though. There's still a lot of fish out there. That's true. What's my daily study site called? PokerCoaching.com. Go to PokerCoaching.com, sign up for a free trial, and go from there. He says, I'm a nerd. I learn about things. I think it's very important to learn things. In my mind, a nerd is someone who knows a lot about particular things. I don't think it matters so much what they know. Like if you know a lot about rap music, you're a nerd. If you know a lot about investing, you're a nerd. If you know a lot about rollerblading, you're a nerd. People who try to accumulate knowledge are nerds. What's the latest thing I learned? Oh, that's a tough one. I learned lots of stuff. I like some of Ape Styles' theories. Ape Styles has been crushing it, for those who do not know. He's been around for as long as I have, and he's winning millions of dollars online on a regular basis. I think he took a 2nd and a 6th in scoop events for like $500K. Anyways, killing it. And something he does a lot is 3-bet from the blinds a ton. Quite big, like 4.5x. And people fold a lot. He thinks people are way over folding. Something I haven't been doing too much. He's doing a lot with Ace X, King X, and Queen X offsuit. And, you do it 25-ish% of the time. So it's not like you're doing it every single time. But it's a good tip. Do you think online gaming will get legalized in America eventually? Everything gets legalized eventually. Almost everything. Everything that does not harm people in a very obvious way gets legalized eventually. If the people want it. And I think people probably want poker, but not so much. Was the expensive book Let There Be Range and the Polymonomo book by Slow Habit worth it at the time? So listen. Knowledge is an interesting concept. How much will you pay for knowledge? Depends on how much you're going to use it, right? If you are going to get a $2,000 book, which is what I think one of the books charged for, that was the price, but you're only going to play an hour a week, obviously it's not worth it for you. But if you're going to play 20 hours a day, clearly it's going to be very much worth it for you, right? A long time ago when I was playing sit and goes, I saw my return on investment drop from like 12% down to something like 5%. So I hired a coach. I hired a coach who was playing a level below me, but I respected him, and he had good results at the stake below me. I paid him $500 an hour, $5,000 for 10 hours of his time. Okay? Seems expensive. This is back at the time when I had something like $25,000 playing, so I gave the guy 20% of my money. And I saw my ROI go from 5% back up to 12%. So what's that worth? 7% ROI jump. Depends on what you're playing, right? And how big you're playing. At this time, I was playing $200 buy-in sit and goes. So every game I played, I made $7 extra. Is that right? No, $14 extra. Okay, how many games am I going to play each month? I was playing 3,000. That means, rough math off the top of my head, we made, $4,200 more each month until the edge eventually diminished again. So $4,200 each month. I paid the guy $5,000. I made $4,200 each month for the next year. Is that worth it? Well, I put in $5,000, I got back $50,000. Seems worth it to me. Same thing with a book, right? Most people are not putting in as much volume as me, so maybe they get paid back $2,000 a month for their investment. Still probably well worth it. So understand the idea of things being worth it are very relative. Money and information is relative. Like if you teach me how to shoot a basketball perfectly, it's not going to be worth anything to me. I'm just not going to be a basketball player. But if you teach someone who's well equipped to be a basketball player something like this, or if you teach an NBA player who's good but not the best how to shoot perfectly as opposed to 90% perfectly, maybe it makes that guy $1 million or $20 million. Who knows, right? So understand that information is a weird thing. How do you define your own personal edge over your opponent's? Results. Here's a doozy. How would a historically losing player who has now become a major MTT talent who doesn't have the history to shower backers get backing so he can play higher stakes? It's a weird question. So you plan on showering backers? Usually if people respect your game, you can get money. It's as simple as that. Presumably you have some connections. You know people. Most people don't get good at poker. Most people don't get good at poker from not knowing people. Poker is not a solitary game. You need to have a study group. And usually if you have a good study group, you're all probably pretty good and you all have some money. I have a group of friends. Every time they want money, I give them money to play. Every time I want money, they give me money to play. We all respect each other's games. And we all think we have some edge. And it's good. It's fine. However, if I go and ask for backing for $100,000 buy-in tournaments that are thought to be difficult, that have 20 people, I'm not going to get it. Because people think I don't have an edge, right? Which is probably accurate in those games. So, if you have an edge and people respect you and think you have an edge, then you should have no problem getting backing. What's that noise? I was hoping you all could not hear that. They're apparently drilling in the apartment above me, so maybe it's time to go soon. You think limping strategies are coming back? Maybe. Can you name specific times where limping is acceptable? It's acceptable when it works well against your opponents. Play MTG Arena? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I play Magic the Gathering online. We're not trying to play Baby Magic. We're playing... If I wanted to play Baby Magic, I would play Hearthstone. Instead, I'm playing Big Boy Magic. If you are a major talent, isn't that history? So whenever you say, I am a major talent now, it does sound like bees, but it's not. We may have to pack it up if they're going to be drilling. It's time to go soon anyway. Understand, major talent does not mean you won 2 tournaments over the last year. Although sometimes that is all it takes. What it means in my mind is you have done well over the last few years. You have good results over the last few years. Because listen, everyone starts off losing, or most people start off losing. But you do get better, and then people gain respect for you. But also, I don't think most people need to get backing unless the backer is giving you coaching. Which is why you need to go to a poker backing site like Pokar. I own a piece of Pokar. And we may have to go if these bees keep buzzing. I own a piece of Pokar, and they basically take people in who don't have a lot of money, but they do have some results. They teach them to be good, then they move up. And that's it. How do people make money playing Magic online? You gamble, essentially. They won't call it gambling, but whenever you play, you have a buy-in, like let's say $12 worth of tickets. Then, if you win, you get more tickets, 60 tickets. Then you take those 60 tickets and you sell them to someone for 90 cents on the dollar, 95 cents on the dollar, and then you made 40 bucks. But it's definitely not a good way to make a living. It's a good way to make like $5 or $6 an hour. If you're really, really, really good, you don't invest your time learning a game where if you are really, really good, you make nothing. Who would I consider for private coaching? Depends on your game. Michael, you asked a lot of very open-ended questions. You asked me this earlier already as well, and I answered it. Is it worth trying to practice at a free online room? Not if your goal is to get very good. It's way better for you to put $50 in an online site and play tiny, tiny stakes. How much of a bankroll is needed for 2.5? Is this a joke? You guys ask me this every day. I have the Bankroll Bible coming out on Monday. I'm going to be able to say, go to my site, jlpoker.com/bankroll. It's going to be right there. RU Poker, what is your win rate per 100 hands? How much variance is in your game compared to a normal no-limit hold'em player? And how happy are you with going broke? What risk of ruin do you want to achieve? Those are the 3 metrics. Figure out those and we'll go from there. How do you build a bankroll? Playing with an edge. The staking site is Pokar, POCARR.com. They don't accept very many people. But, hey, it's worth applying. So, Rex Nagna says that you have a small bankroll and play $33 tournaments. That's not so small, if you're playing online, I'm presuming. You know you can win at higher buy-ins if you were backed. Stop doing that. Instead, just play more. Play a ton. Put in volume. If you play with like a 40% ROI online, let's call it 50% ROI, you're making $15 a game. Or let's say you're making $10 a game, right? Play 1,000 games in a month. $10 times 1,000 is $10,000. You make $10,000 a month. It's only 30 games a day. It's like, get real, right? 30 games a day, you make $10,000 a month. Why would you, like, what's the problem? Do that for 6 months, you have $60,000. Do it for a year, you have $120,000. And after a year, you will actually know if you're good, which is the cool thing about volume. If you play a lot of volume, you'll know you're good. Have I ever played daily fantasy sports? I did when they first came out. I did great for the first 2 years. Then I broke even-ish the second or the third year, broke even the 4th year, and then quit. I'm definitely not the right person to play daily fantasy sports. Daily fantasy sports are great if you are very good at programming and very good at analytics. I don't know how to program, and I'm okay at analytics. So I have like 25% competency level. First 2 years, everybody was awful. Wasn't so hard to win. But now everybody's at least competent, so I'm not going to win. What I studied in college, I studied engineering and psychology, but I didn't really study those so much. I played poker. How many hours do you need to log? Hours is the wrong metric. Hands is the right metric. How many hands? It depends. Do I think 50% ROI is sustainable in online tournaments today? I mean, if you are a true talent and one of the best players in the world, yeah. Absolutely. Most people, though, I mean, this is the question coming from someone who tells me they are a true talent. They think they can beat the higher stakes games. They know they can beat the higher stakes games. They just don't have a bankroll. Right? So if that is where we are, then we're good. Do I think sticking 200x to 300x your roll is too strict for tournaments? If you have a 50% ROI, it is. Also, you need to ask how many players are in the fields, right? This is all going to be in the Bankroll Bible in a week, on Monday. If the field is very big, you need a giant bankroll. If the field's small, you need a small bankroll. So play 100-person tournaments with 130, or keep 100 buy-ins and then play 100-person tournaments with a big edge, and you'll just crush it. Almost no variance as well. It's very, very nice. I'm going to Florida in November. No. Does psychology help you in poker? Not the psychology they teach you in school. CF says, you love my coaching site. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Oh yeah, also, with daily fantasy sports, I don't care about sports. It's just not a big deal to me. I think that's going to be it for the day. Now that the bees have stopped, there's no point for you all to be here anymore. You were just entertaining me while the bees were going around. Tomorrow we have a few things to discuss. We're going to discuss how humans are wired for feedback. We did that a little bit today. We'll do it more tomorrow. We're also going to discuss saying I don't know. A lot of people don't like saying I don't know. They think they need to know the answer. Or they think that if someone asks them a question, that they have to have an opinion. And that's not true. A lot of people think that saying I don't know... Well, we'll talk about all this tomorrow. When did I start playing poker? 2003. How much time before I was a poker pro? A year and a half? Are you going to the WPT in Montreal in November? Probably. All right, we're going to go for the day. Come back tomorrow. Send my love to Uncle Eddie there. Hello, Uncle Eddie. Thank you for being here. Get me on CNBC. Why not? It'll be fun. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., we're going to have some more coffee. Actually, I had a cup of coffee before this because today is a work day. I decided no alcohol drinks for 1 month because one of my friends who I helped out, he bought me 24 bottles of very fine wine. Now I only have 8 left. This was like 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. So I'm probably drinking too much wine. So, a third of a bottle a day. Probably too much. I know that I'm way more productive when I'm not on alcohol. So, no drinking, which means I'm going to wake up and I'm going to work my butt off all day, every day. So, we're doing it. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Be nice to people. Have fun. You only have one today. Once it's gone, you're not getting it back. Let's make the most of it. Bye-bye.